long before Rome ruled the Mediterranean, and long before the great empires of Europe were even imagined, there was a city rising from the dust of Mesopotamia. A city of walls, temples, kings, and gods. A city so powerful that ancient people believed it stood between earth and heaven. Its name was Babylon. To some, it was the greatest city the world had ever seen, a place of knowledge, wealth, astronomy, law, and ambition. To others, it became a symbol of pride, corruption, and human arrogance, a city that dared to reach too high. For centuries, Babylon inspired legends, from the mighty Tower of Babel to the mysterious Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But today, the city that once terrified kingdoms lies mostly silent, buried beneath the sands of modern Iraq. So what was Babylon really? A miracle of ancient civilization, or a warning from history about what happens when mankind tries to challenge the God? Babylon was born in Mesopotamia, the land between 2 great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. This was not just a place on a map. It was one of the cradles of human civilization. Here, people learned how to control water, how to grow food on a massive scale, how to build cities, record laws, study the stars, and organize society in ways the world had never seen before. The rivers gave life, but they also demanded discipline. Floods had to be managed, canals had to be dug, fields had to be protected, and thousands of people had to work together. Out of this struggle, civilization began to rise. And among the many cities of ancient Mesopotamia, Babylon would become something different. It was not the first city, and it was not always the strongest, but over time, it became a name that kings feared, merchants admired, priests worshipped, and enemies could not ignore. Babylon stood near the Euphrates River, in a location that connected trade routes, armies, farmers, and travelers. Whoever controlled Babylon controlled more than stone walls and temples. They controlled movement, food, wealth, and power. And that is why this city, rising from mud brick and river water, would one day become the beating heart of an empire. By the time Babylon reached its later glory, it was no longer just a city, it was a statement. A visitor approaching its walls would have understood immediately that Babylon was built to impress, to intimidate, and to make every stranger feel small. Its gates were not simple entrances. They were symbols of power. The most famous of them was the Ishtar Gate, a monumental gateway covered in deep blue glazed bricks, decorated with sacred animals, dragons and bulls, creatures connected to the gods of Babylon. To walk through this gate was to enter a world where politics, religion, and royal power were almost impossible to separate. Beyond it stretched the processional way, a grand road used for ceremonies, festivals, and royal displays. Here, Babylon did not simply rule through soldiers and taxes. It ruled through spectacle. Every wall, every temple, every statue was designed to send one message. The city was protected by the gods, chosen by heaven, and destined to stand above all others. At the center of Babylonian life stood the temples, where priests watched the skies, interpreted signs, performed rituals, and connected the earthly city to the divine world above. For the people of Babylon, the stars were not just lights in the night. They were messages, warnings, and signs of destiny. This was a city where astronomy, religion, and power moved together, and whoever ruled Babylon did not rule only men. He claimed to rule under the eyes of the god. But Babylon's greatest transformation came under one of the most powerful rulers of the ancient world, Nebuchadnezzar II. He did not simply inherit a city, he reshaped it into an imperial masterpiece. Under his rule, Babylon became the heart of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, a place where wealth from conquered lands flowed through gates, markets, temples, and palaces. Nebuchadnezzar wanted Babylon to be more than the capital of a kingdom. He wanted it to look eternal. He rebuilt temples, expanded palaces, strengthened walls, and turned the city into a monument to royal power and divine approval. To walk through Babylon during his reign would have been to witness a city alive with movement, merchants carrying goods from distant lands, scribes recording contracts and taxes, priests preparing rituals, soldiers guarding the gates, and workers raising buildings that seemed too large for ordinary men. This was not a city growing by accident. It was designed, organized, and displayed like a message carved into stone. Every brick told the same story. Babylon was not merely powerful. Babylon was chosen, and Nebuchadnezzar wanted every visitor, every rival king, and every conquered nation to understand that message before they even reached the palace doors. For a moment in history, Babylon seemed almost untouchable, a city of wealth, fear, beauty, and ambition, standing at the center of the ancient world. And yet, among all the wonders connected to Babylon, one mystery became more famous than the city itself: the Hanging Gardens. Ancient writers described them as a paradise lifted above the desert, a mountain of green terraces filled with trees, flowers, water, and shade, in a land of heat, dust, and sun. The idea was almost impossible to imagine. gardens rising above the city, water flowing from level to level, plants from distant lands growing high above the streets. To later generations, the Hanging Gardens became one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, a symbol of beauty, wealth, and engineering so advanced that it seemed almost unreal. But there is a problem. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt or the ruins of Greek temples, the Hanging Gardens have never been clearly found. No certain remains, no inscription from Nebuchadnezzar describing them, no final proof that can silence the debate. Some scholars believe the gardens truly stood in Babylon, perhaps built for a queen who missed the green mountains of her homeland. Others believe the story may have been confused with another great city, Nineveh, where powerful kings also built massive gardens and water systems. So were the Hanging Gardens real? Or were they a dream created by travelers, poets, and memory? The truth is still uncertain, but perhaps that is why the legend survived. Because Babylon was not only a place of stone and brick, it was a city so grand that even its mysteries became immortal. But the Hanging Gardens were not the only legend that made Babylon larger than life. Another story would turn the city into one of the most powerful symbols of human ambition, the Tower of Babel. In the ancient story, people came together to build a tower so high that it would reach the heavens. It was not only a building, it was a declaration, a message that mankind could rise above its limits, unite under one purpose, and build something so great that even the divine world would notice. For some, the Tower of Babel became a warning, a story about pride, confusion, and the danger of trying to become equal with the gods. For others, it reflected something very real about ancient Mesopotamia. This Babylon and its surrounding cities were filled with massive temple towers called ziggurats. These structures rose above the flat landscape like artificial mountains made by human hands. They were stairways between earth and sky, places where kings, priests, and gods seemed to meet in stone, ritual, and imagination. Whether the Tower of Babel was history, legend, or memory, its meaning survived for thousands of years. Because Babylon was never remembered as a quiet city. It was remembered as a place where human ambition reached upward, toward power, toward glory, and perhaps toward heaven itself. But every city built to touch heaven still stands on the earth, and even Babylon could not escape the forces of history. After Nebuchadnezzar, the empire he had strengthened began to weaken. Kings came and went, political tension grew, and enemies watched from beyond the borders. Then came the Persians. Under Cyrus the Great, the Persian Empire expanded with extraordinary speed, swallowing kingdoms, cities, and armies that had once seemed secure. Babylon was still rich, still famous, still protected by walls that looked almost impossible to break. But power is not only measured in stone, it is also measured in loyalty, leadership, fear, and timing. In 539 BC, Babylon fell to the Persians. The details have been told in different ways. Some ancient accounts describe a city taken almost without destruction. Others speak of strategy, weakness, and a ruler who had lost the trust of his people. But the result was clear. The city that had once stood like the center of the world was no longer the master of its own destiny. Babylon survived, but its age of empire was over. Its walls still stood, its temples still cast shadows, and its name still carried weight across the ancient world. But something had changed forever. The city that had challenged kings, inspired legends, and reached toward heaven had finally been brought back down to earth. Today, Babylon is no longer the city that ancient kings once feared. Its streets are silent, its palaces broken, and its temples reduced to fragments of memory. In modern Iraq, the ruins of Babylon still remain, standing as a reminder of a world that once believed stone, power, and faith could make a city eternal. But Babylon did not disappear completely. It survived in history, in religion, in archaeology, in legends, and in the imagination of every generation that wondered how far human ambition can go. Babylon was a city of beauty and brutality, wisdom and pride, engineering and myth. It gave the world kings, laws, temples, legends, and warnings that still echo thousands of years later. Perhaps that is why Babylon still fascinates us, because it was not only a lost city, it was a mirror, showing what human beings can build when they dream without limits, and what they can lose when power begins to believe it can never fall. Babylon challenged kings, inspired legends, and reached toward the heavens. But in the end, even the city that challenged the gods became a ruin beneath the dust. If you enjoyed this journey into the ancient world, subscribe to Stories of Our World for more cinematic documentaries about history, mysteries, and lost civilizations.